Israel Keyes. Israel Keyes was not the kind of monster who looked like one. That was the point. He stood 6'2", broad-shouldered, with a calm voice and pale eyes that never seemed to blink enough. People who met him remembered a polite, almost shy carpenter from Alaska who loved his toddler daughter, brewed his own beer, and went on long solo kayak trips. He paid his bills on time, mowed his elderly neighbor's lawn, and coached his girlfriend's son in wrestling. He also murdered at least 11 people across the United States over 14 years, and the FBI still isn't sure they have found them all. He was born in a tiny Mormon homestead cabin in Cove, Utah in 1978, the second of 10 intensely religious homeschooling children. His parents were the kind of fundamentalists who believed the government was Satan's tool, so the family moved to the woods of central Washington and lived without electricity or running water for years. Young Israel helped slaughter goats, built fences, and sat quietly through endless sermons. Somewhere along the way he learned to smile while feeling nothing. At 19 he joined the Army, excelled at Fort Lewis and Fort Hood, made specialist, earned an expert marksmanship badge, and drank heavily in strip clubs on the weekend. The Army never noticed anything off. In 2001 he got out, moved to the Mackay Reservation in Nia Bay, Washington, and opened a one-man construction business. He built houses by day, and when the mood took him, drove thousands of miles to kill. Keyes didn't have a type. He killed men, women, couples, whoever was convenient and wouldn't be missed immediately. He hated the idea of anyone predicting him. He called other serial killers sloppy amateurs because they left patterns, so he created kill kits, plastic buckets or duffel bags filled with guns, zip ties, bleach, and Drano, buried years in advance near future hunting grounds, upstate New York, Vermont, Washington, Texas. He flew to Chicago, rented a car, drove 2 states away to grab someone, drove another 2 states to dispose of the body, then flew home and mowed the lawn. No one ever saw the same car twice. He funded everything with bank robberies, at least 5 confirmed. He chose small banks in rural areas, wore a simple painter's mask, never spoke, and was in and out in under 3 minutes. He burned the disguise afterward. The known murder started in the late 1990s. His first may have been a teenage girl in the Pacific Northwest. He hinted at it but never gave details. Then came years of quiet. In 2009, he abducted Bill and Lorraine Currier, a middle-aged couple in Essex, Vermont. He cut their phone line at 2 a.m., kicked in the door, zip-tied them, drove them in their own car to an abandoned farmhouse he had scouted 2 years earlier, raped Lorraine, shot Bill, then drowned Lorraine in the upstairs bathtub. He demolished the house weeks later so no trace remained. The courier simply vanished. The case is still open. His last victim was Samantha Koenig, an 18-year-old barista in Anchorage. February 1st, 2012, he waited until closing, walked in wearing a ski mask, forced her into his truck at gunpoint, took her to his tidy suburban house on a cul-de-sac where his 10-year-old daughter was staying at a friend's. He kept Samantha in his attached shed, raped her, then strangled her while drinking a cup of coffee. He braided her hair afterward because he thought she looked better that way. He sewed her eyelids open with fishing line, applied makeup, took a Polaroid holding a newspaper dated 13 days later to fake a ransom demand, then put her body in his shed, turned the heat on, and flew to New Orleans for a pre-planned 2-week cruise vacation with his family. When he came home, he dismembered her, drilled holes in the ice of a frozen lake outside Anchorage, and sank the pieces. That ransom photo was the only real mistake. He demanded $30,000, got it through Samantha's boyfriend's ATM card, and started getting cocky. Police linked the card use to a white truck, then to Keyes. Texas Rangers pulled him over on March 13, 2012 for a traffic stop. Inside the rental car they found zip ties, a ski mask, Samantha's phone, and the ransom money. In custody he was eerily calm. He asked for a cigar, a Pepsi, and no death penalty. In exchange he would talk, sort of. Over months of interviews he admitted to 11 murders, hinted at more, and drew skulls on legal paths while describing how he chose victims by the way they walked across a parking lot. He said he killed because he enjoyed the power and the planning more than the act itself. It was like a drug, but better, he told investigators. No hangover. He refused to give most names. He said some victims didn't deserve to be found, and others did. He claimed bodies in New York, Vermont, Washington, and possibly California, New Jersey, and Wyoming. Only 3 have ever been recovered. The couriers, never found, and Samantha. One other possible victim, Deborah Feldman from Texas, disappeared in 2009 under circumstances that match his pattern exactly, but he never confirmed it. He had rules: no children under 12, too easy, no challenge, no one near his home in Alaska unless he was planning to leave the country soon, never the same method twice if he could help it. He listened to true crime radio while driving to kill sites because he found it funny. On December 2, 2012, 9 months after arrest, he slit his left wrist and strangled himself with a rolled bedsheet under his bunk in Anchorage jail. He was 34. In his cell, they found a long suicide note written in blood that was mostly incoherent poetry about shedding his skin and becoming the night. His daughter, the one he genuinely seemed to love, was 11 when he died. She has a different last name now and lives somewhere quiet. The FBI still keeps a special unit just for Keyes' cold cases. They believe the real number is closer to 15 or 20. He is the only known American serial killer who successfully operated coast to coast for over a decade without a single confirmed witness, fingerprint, or DNA hit until the very end. He proved you could be a loving father on Saturday, drink hot chocolate with your kid, and on Sunday fly 3,000 miles to murder a random couple you picked because their garage door was open. 11 skulls drawn in his own blood on paper hidden beneath the bed. That was all he ever gave us. Was there more?